All right. We're live, right, Clay?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. Happy Monday, everybody. Oh, let me grab the mouse for just a moment here. Where is. Where is it playing from? I can. There we go. All right. Now it won't be in our way. All right. Sorry about that. I was hearing myself. I don't want to hear myself, that's for sure. All right, everybody. Now the alert just hit. We got Clay in the background. Joey, I think, still again at the beach right now. All right, seeing this market on a tear. Looks like the last 10, 15 minutes, the market is ripping and roaring to the upside here. The NASDAQ up quite a bit. Let's go right into the VectorVest 7 software. We do want to take a look at the DEW here. All right. Well, I know we don't do a whole lot of market timing on the YouTube side, but if I go over here to market timing, go to market timing graph. This is going to be the big update over the weekend here. If I use this to DEW, especially I know a lot of swing traders utilize this system. We did get a down signal as of Friday. Okay, so just want everyone to know that we did get a down signal as of Friday. Palantir is on fire today. That's what Pennywise says. Yeah, they report after the bell. I saw, was it on Semiconductor reported this morning? A little lackluster on the guidance. The stock was down. But I have quite a few earnings stocks in a list today so we can break them down. But as we zoom in here, we can see the VectorVest composite trying to fill this gap from before. But the DEW is down as of right now. So, again, if you've been bullish on the market, especially if you follow some of our market timing signals, this is a major one that is down. The confirmed call is still in an up situation, so I just want to put that out there. But the DEW is down, so especially for swing traders here. We've had a nice run, but now is the time to get a little bit more defensive, or don't be afraid to take some profits off the table. I know a lot of stocks that you guys have mentioned are up quite a bit over the last few months. We've looked at the charts here. I can't wait for Palantir's earnings later today. I know the market is excited, and I have an article here, but they've got to bring, very high expectations. There's been a very high bar set for Palantir, so we're going to take a look at that and see if they can, achieve that. But essentially, it looks like the stock is up quite a bit today. So we'll take a look. But if we see here, look, NASDAQ up 1.72%, Dow Jones up over, actually everything's up over 1% here, along with the VectorVest composite. We are higher than we were yesterday, but we're still lower than we were 5 days ago. So just keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind going forward. As far as industries to be in right now, we got machinery, automation. It's up almost 4% today. And look at fiber optics. It's been a while since I've talked about fiber optics, but look at the stock up almost 5%, 4.5% right now. All of these are showing a lot of momentum to the upside. Even taking a look at the sectors here, again, quite a bit of charge to the upside. Aerospace and defense up 1.4% here. We've got machinery again. That's probably the automation here. A lot of momentum in that within that industry here. But the sector itself still made the top 5. See, aerospace defense, not a top industry. Metal products, no. ETFs, no. Machinery. So the only one with the industry in the top 5, it looks like machinery here, with the automation side to the top of the list. All right. Let's jump into it. Let's see what's moving the market today. What could potentially move the market going into later this week here. Let's pull, where is it at here? Oh, earnings report. All right, big week. A lot of big tech names today. That's let's go back to Monday here. Sorry, I was left on Friday. But you see, look at this. Palantir, that's going to be the big name today after the bell here. You can see the EPS forecast comes in at 0.08%. Last year's EPS, just 0.03%. So a big move there when it comes to earnings per share. As far as some of these other stocks here, we've got Vertex, AXON, Enterprise. I did put that in the watch list for today. So I know a lot of people ask about AXON on the channel here. We've got Diamondback Energy. So this was on Semiconductor. A little lackluster on the guidance here. HIMS, actually, I didn't recognize HIMS. We'll add that to the watch list. Remind me, but it's after the bell today. HIMS. If I scroll back up here, let's go to Tuesday. Big day tomorrow. Look, we've got AMD after the bell. We got Caterpillar, Amgen, Arista Networks at the top of the list here. Pfizer, BP. So that's what I'm saying. Last week was a big week of earnings. We had 4 out of the top Mag 7 stocks. This week, no Mag 7 stocks reporting, but a lot of big names still on the list here. We've got McDonald's, Novo Nordisk, Walt Disney, Uber, Shopify, Sony. Look, AppLovin, I know that's a crowd favorite here. DoorDash. So again, expect some volatility this week. If we scroll, let's see, Thursday, Eli Lilly. It does lighten up towards the end of the week here. We got Eli Lilly after the bell, Gilead Science, ConocoPhillips, Constellation Energy. That one I'm kind of curious about. We got Vistra Corp here, Monster Beverage Company. That looks about it. Oh, Block. Oh, and Datadog. Okay, so quite a few trades here. SMR2, Bill says. Palantir just recently landed a $10 billion deal with the Army. Woo! Woo! So, and me and Glenn have talked about this before. I mean, we've done a lot of stories, as Palantir gets, one government contract after the other, just really not showing up in the valuation. So hopefully, if I could see a nice tick up in the valuation, the VectorVest valuation for Palantir, that would get me more excited. Because right now, it doesn't matter how you slice it, Palantir is trading at a premium. All right, so we do got the economic calendar as well. Today, not much here going to move the market. We just got some factory orders this morning. Tomorrow, we got the U.S. trade deficit here. We see the median forecast is at $61 billion. The previous was negative $75 billion, so we can see quite an improvement there. Let's see, we got PMI data, ISM services. Wednesday, the Fed will be speaking. So your Thursday, this will be a big one. Initial jobless claims as well. Look, we got Bostic speaking, so maybe Thursday, a little bit of volatility from economic data. And then next week, we've got CPI data, so just want to throw that out there as well. We got CPI next Tuesday, so just keep in mind we got CPI data as well. It'll be followed by jobless claims. All right, so here's a stock. Should you buy AMD stock ahead of Q2 earnings on August 5th, right? That's the question here. Advanced Micro Devices will release earnings after the bell Tuesday. An impressive run ahead of its earnings. We've been talking about that run. The ascending channel here recently hitting a 52-week high of 182 July 31st here. I just scroll down. Where was it at? This is what's going to be right here. The M1 chip. This series right here. This is their AI chip. This was just introduced, a few quarters ago, pretty recently. Again, they were, behind NVIDIA. But especially, this is interesting. This is what I want Lisa Su to talk about. The restart of these shipments to China, right? Again, chip restrictions was going to cost China, or not China, but NVIDIA, AMD, billions of dollars, right? And then they got the approval to send the chips over. Well, now, China's investigating NVIDIA chips for any kind of backdoor. So I've said, watch out for that news, because that's probably not going to be good for the stock, because I imagine, China would be halting computer chips or reevaluating that whole situation. But as far as going forward, if we look at the 14-day relative strength, 69, so it's still in overbought levels. The retest of that channel, I talked about it Thursday and Friday, 6 p.m. video. It looks like we retested it. I want to take a look at that today, see if that, is going to, shape up just kind of like what I thought it might have happened here. But it's all about, the shipments to China. Is China going to be back on the market for when it comes to AMD? Is it going to help its overall revenue, right? That's the question. And as far as AMD here, this is what I thought was interesting. It looks like the post-earnings move about 7%, about 7.5% here, so 7.6. So that's the implied move going into AMD. So the question you have to ask yourself is, could you live with, AMD if it drops 7% after the bell? If you can live with it, hey, hold on to it, right? Especially if you're more of an investor, if you're a trader here and you're worried about the profits, depending on where you bought at, you might assess it a little bit differently. I think buying AMD now would be a good idea. I'm not opposed to it, penny-wise. I'm not opposed to it. And if you have the money, if you can get 100 shares of it, hey, doing a buy right or something, Maybe a strike price, right around that 7.5% level. So that way, if it does pull back, at least you collect some premium, offset some of those losses in the meantime, right? But overall, just a cautionary tone. I know Palantir, AMD, that's what the eyes are focused on this week. Those are probably the two, biggest stocks reporting this week. Not only from a market cap perspective, but just from a, retail presence. A lot of eyeballs are on these stocks in particular here. All right, we've got Palantir earnings. Look, Palantir's Q1 2025 delivered strong fundamentals. And apparently someone put in the comment section, they just got another Army contract. They said $10 billion for that Army contract here. AMD is Ryan's favorite stock. It's the stock I trade the most, just because of options, things of that nature. That's where I learned to trade options. But yeah, I've been following Lisa Su. I've been following the stock for years now. And I'm still, as long it's above the ascending channel, so I'm still bullish on AMD in general, going into earnings here. And if it does pull back, there could be some buying opportunities there, because it's not like it's way overvalued by the VectorVest metrics. No. So if you got patience, you got some time, hey, you can probably wait for a pull back, and you can probably get the stock under our valuation price. Michelle, I'm curious about SMCI as well. We'll have to take a look at SMCI. Definitely take a look at that. But look, expectations dangerously elevated with consensus forecasting 53% earnings per share growth, 38% revenue growth, right? I mean, the stock is trading crazy. Look, this right here, valuations reach extreme levels, 93 times forward sales. I know we value our, positions a little bit differently. But just, keep that in mind. So EPS projections appear to be basic, 27%. Where is it at here? I was trying to find the forward PE ratio. I can't see where that went. No, I can't find out where I went. But you can see just the stock, it's got a very high bar to maintain right now going into earnings. So, we'll see how it is with Palantir's earnings here. And we'll take a look at the VectorVest 7 software and see if there's any early warning signs, right? We're going to look for drops in forecasted earnings per share. Any kind of drop in sales growth rate, earnings growth rate. See if there's something in the VectorVest 7 system that could give us, any kind of pre-warning. I think Dell is the underrated AI infrastructure stock. I don't really study Dell a whole lot, to be honest, Pennywise. So I'm just curious here. Rigetti, I'm curious on your thoughts. I'll take a look at Rigetti. I haven't looked at the chart in a while here as far as Rigetti. But again, as far as Palantir, the stock's trending up. I think it's still in the ascending channel. So from a technical perspective, I'm not too worried about it. But this is the only thing here. I mean, you can find, whether it's me telling you or not, it's not hard to find an article on Palantir being overvalued, right? That's the biggest bearish case for it. So let's just see if the expectations come in here. Housing to remain weakest part of economy, falling 8% in the second half. Housing showing some weakness here in the market. You can see, look, residential investment should fall 8% in the back half of the year compared with the same period a year ago. I've been telling you, me and some family have been looking at property and real estate, and just we've seen the decline. We're here in the Charlotte area, so I just wanted to put this on your radar as well. And that's it. Let's close out of these here. Let's go back to it, because we got a lot of stocks to look at when it comes to the earnings this time here. We got AMD at the top of the list. A lot of big names here. We've got DoorDash, Shopify, Caterpillar, Palantir. A lot of big names coming into the list here. Ooh, there we go. All right, so what are other big movers today? Let's look at percent price change. The winners today showing momentum to the upside. Shopify showing momentum in its earnings week. Palantir up 3%. AMD up 3% here. App 11. So all these are positive. The only ones down, you see AXON, a little hesitation. They report after the bell today. On Semiconductor reported this morning, down over 11% on Semiconductor. It was on the guidance thing. It was on the guidance. You're correct, Michael, but it's important because now Palantir will be getting that revenue coming from them faster. Interesting. Very interesting. All righty here. Now let's go ahead and see. Let's scroll over here to the right. Let's look at the earnings per share. This is the forecasted earnings per share. Eli Lilly's at the top. Palantir, the lowest earnings per share in the list here. 56 cents earnings per share. Just wanted to throw that out there. If we take a look at the earnings growth rate here, AppLovin 50%. Let's look at this, down 7% here on Semiconductor. So I'm not too surprised the stock's struggling right now. If we take a look, Palantir about midway in the list, 26%. AMD at 27%. These two are about midway. But a lot of these other companies showing even better forecasted data than both AMD and Palantir. Those companies being AppLovin, DoorDash, Eli Lilly, AXON, Shopify. So yeah, a lot of popular names. These are a lot of retail heavy stocks. You know, these may not be the big names like the Google and the Amazon that can really move the market, but this is a lot of retail presence amongst these stocks here. A lot of retail presence. All right, Sterling is tonight. STRL, let's throw that in the list. STRL. Any other stocks reporting this week that I might have missed? I'm not enthused about Disney, but Palantir, Axon, Gilead, ET, and PFE excitement. Yeah, you know, I just put Disney there. I know it's one of the larger cap companies. But yeah, it's not as exciting as some of these other stocks, right? Definitely not as exciting. All right. What is the blueprint for buying stocks before earnings that will have a high likelihood of jumping? I don't know if there's necessarily a blueprint for that, Tabula. Because earnings have been pretty volatile recently. Again, we were talking about option strategies last week. I don't really like the idea of just buying a stock going into earnings without any kind of cushion zone. You know, I'd like to find trade setups before earnings. You know, a lot of stocks like to move up before earnings. We've talked about that before. Get in that opportunity. So when the stock moves up, I got to ask myself, I got hopefully a little cushion zone because the trade worked out, right? Is this little cushion zone worth going through the earnings, right? Is it worth that risk? That is a question you got to ask yourself. Is it worth that risk? Oh, that's right. We had Toast. We got Fang. Put these in here. Oh yeah, Block. I got Uber in here, I think. No, I don't have Uber. These are just earning stocks. XYZ. All right, well, look, we got a lot of earnings. We got 20 here. Let's get to it. We might as well get started into the chart right now. If you're playing the Qs, you'll probably see a cup and handle formation folding out today. It looks like we're about to break out to a new high in the Qs. So if you see an afternoon rally, hopefully that's the case. That's what I'm betting on right now. All right, let's graph these. Graph all. Oh, Katos has got earnings too? Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of big names reporting earnings here. So here's AppLovin. Whew. That looks good right now. Full body candlestick. Look at the buying pressure of this bottom wick, right? This accumulation close to that 20-day EMA. And this thing looks like it just wants to blast off. Not going to lie. You can see it coming up the other wall here. You know, if we use a horizontal, let's use a freehand line. That's kind of where I see resistance going forward. So if we get a big pop up, look at this little trend line here. Maybe we catch some resistance. Let's see here. Scroll back down. But yeah, no, it looks good. And then what do I want to add? Earnings growth rate. Let's see our valuation. Earnings per share. And let's take a look at sales growth rate as well, just in case. All right, earnings per share is rising. Steady left. Steady lower left, upper right. Growth rate 50%. Sales growth rate 40%. Looks like the sales growth or the earnings growth rate dropped from 51 to 50, so that's not like an alarming drop. Overall, I like what I see. This trend line here, See what happens. If we get a gap up and we end, like if we open right at this trend line, this resistance here, maybe expect a pullback that morning, right? But if we gap over this trend line, maybe a retest, then bounce back off of it. But I think this trend line is going to play a role, potentially some of its movement later this week. Yeah, but Pennywise says, yeah, but it's in the case. This actually will help Palantir. But yeah, overall, it's not as overvalued as Palantir, but there's definitely a valuation concern here. So there needs to be, great data coming in to justify some of these prices here, just like we talked about with Palantir. Here's DoorDash, again, another overvalued stock, but the earnings per share moving lower left, upper right. Forecasted data went from about $2, now coming in at $2.64. It is overpriced right now compared to our valuation. Mixed data on the earnings growth rate is rising while the sales growth rate is dropping here. 21%. But overall, I still like it, right? Again, it's just they got to work a little harder to enthuse investors. They're trading at a premium right now, so they cannot miss on this earnings call. Here we've got Toast. Toast, I like. Look at this breakout. Nice retest on the 20-day EMA and on this little trend line I had here. I had a feeling I might try to retest this. It's breaking back up to the upside right now. 48.87. I like it. Rising earnings. Growth rate. Let's go to 1 year here, but it looks like the earnings growth rate, sales growth rate, faltering a little bit. Let's do this. Put earnings per share on the bottom. I like it. This retest here, this is a perfect setup for the bulls here. From a technical perspective, I like it. As far as, even the forecasted data, 42%, 24%. Hey, cannot get too mad. The only thing I have concern here, look, the stock, they are declining. It was 48%, now it's at 42%. So just be careful. That forecasted data is waning a little bit here. Here's Uber Technology. The stock trading at a premium, but look at valuation just rocking to the upside, catching up. Valuation coming in $80. Every restaurant I go to uses Toast products. Yes, Pennywise. I serve fine dining, do some bartending on the side occasionally. Every restaurant I've ever worked at uses Toast, at least for like the last 5 to 10 years. I think it was like Aloha. They had a couple other ones, but they've got a monopoly on point of sale systems for restaurants. And I'm almost pretty sure that monopoly is becoming coast to coast. So yeah, I like Toast. I do like Toast. As far as this position here, you can see the retest coming again right on the zone here. Moving averages a week. So pretty much Uber, they got to get its act together soon. Otherwise, if they don't, they go right into my support zone here. And with earnings coming up, they could potentially break it. But look, growth rate earnings, 41%. The sales growth rate is what concerns me, 14%. It was at 20, but it is faltering. So the sales is what's concerning me there. Last time I worked in a restaurant, the cash register had a hand crank. Roger. Yeah, there weren't too many point of sale systems. I guess, Roger, you haven't had the pleasure to work with Toast systems. That said, WES is more undervalued. All right. So, yeah, I see the market. Look, it's still ripping and roaring to the upside right now. We're at 63. 563.43 on the Qs. I do like that. But as far as this one, Eli Lilly, I like it a lot more now than I did back here, right? Here you're paying a premium for it, downtrending, still downtrending, but I do see a lower high, lower low, but not a lower high. So yeah, I'm not too enthused about Eli Lilly right now. It's just kind of trading to the side at the moment. Here's AXON. It needs something good today. Because, look, we're getting rejection right at that 20-day EMA. I'm not liking the technicals on that. So the earnings has to save. If it gaps down, that is not going to look very good. Not going to look good at all. Let's see here. As far as valuation, we only value the company at $210. So definitely trading at a premium right now. Growth rate and earnings, sales growth rate, both faltering over the last year. Now, the only thing on the rise here would be the earnings per share. Nice, steady rise in earnings per share. So I do like this, but yeah, it's got to get its act together. I'm seeing rejection of that 20-day EMA here. Earnings is what's needed to save this stock right now. Here's Shopify showing a lot of momentum going into its earnings week here. Full body candlestick trading at session highs right now. I like what I see. Nice bounce off this 20-day. But again, just overvalued. A lot of the stocks reporting today, overvalued territory, but do have great forecasted data. So I could see why investors are paying for premium. So we're going to find out if this forecasted data is going to come through or not. Oh, Pennywise. Well, thank you. Pennywise did a super chat with Katos. Let's see here. Thank you for that. All right, here's Katos. Let's extend that line here. Let's go 3 months. It's back above it. Look at it. It only lasted 1 day below the trend line, just simply to retest the 20-day EMA. Now we got a full body candle, because I would have been a little bit more concerned if we retested this and then found rejection right at the trend line. But it looks like we're going to break right above that trend line. So this might have just created, a good accumulation period. Get the buyers enthused again. And looks like the buyers are coming in strong today. Very, very strong. Dennis says, UAMY up 14% today. I still like U.S. antimony. I know it's been volatile lately. It really got to ask yourself if you're trading it or if you're a long-term investor, right? Because I see it as both. It's volatile enough to trade, but not just UAMY, but all these other rare earth companies, they're in like the infancy stage of taking market share from China, right? And China, they got all the market share, and it's a big business. So there's plenty of room for these companies to grow. But as far as Katos, as far as defense in general, I saw the sector still up, still ranked #1 sector right now. And as long as we get a close above this trend line here, which looks like we are, but we got a nice full body candlestick trading session highs right now. But as long as we get a close above this, price action, opens and stays above it come tomorrow, I still like Katos defense. Now this is reporting earnings. Pennywise, when do they? Okay, Friday. Gotcha. But yes, make sure price action just stays back above this trend line here when it comes to Kratos defense. As far as earnings per share, let's go back to a year here, just get a better picture. Earnings per share rising. I do like that. See if the forecasted data backs it up. Sales growth rate faltering. From 20% to 9%. But earnings growth rate ticking up quite a bit here. Look, it went from 20 to now 25. So the earnings growth rate has gone up, 25% essentially from 20 to 25 in just the last few months. So there might be some data coming in to get investors enthused. But I still like this trend line here. As long as price action stays above this trend line. I know yesterday that was the dip of dips on Kratos. But yeah, I still like it. And with that earnings growth rate ticking up, I like it, especially with all of the, military expenditures on the rise and, military government spending more money. I'd be shocked if they had bad news, on guidance coming in this Friday. But yeah, no, good stock all around. All right, coming back in, we got Shopify here. Look, just like Kratos, look, it gapped down just below that 20-day EMA. Didn't quite drop below it, but it's coming right back here with a fury, trading at session highs. Similar story like the other positions, overvalued, right? But one thing I can say, look at the last few months. It went from 26 to 29%. I like the tick up in the earnings growth rate. And even the earnings per share, even though it faltered a little bit, it's going right back up, coming at new highs here when it comes to forecasted earnings per share. Here we've got AMD. This is what I wanted, this retest. Follow through today. This is about as pretty as a setup I could get for AMD, going into earnings, at least from a technical perspective here. But all that's going to matter is, AI and AI data centers. People want to know if their M series chips, is that was, the solution to competing with NVIDIA, right? And we're about to figure out those numbers here real soon. Pennywise, KTOS is developing a new hypersonic drone. Interesting. I'm not too surprised by hypersonic drones. Faster the better. Everything's going to drones now. But yes, as far as AMD, I still like it. Look, growth rate ticking back up. Sales growth rate just keeps climbing. It was around 20% 6 months ago. Now it's at, 36%? And look at the turnaround story in the earnings per share here. I do like that turnaround story, the earnings per share. But yeah, as far as, any kind of good potential, AMD going forward is going to be, enthusiasm from, any kind of growth in the AI data centers. All right, here we've got Palantir still in the ascending channel. Hey, I like it. As long as it's going to sit in that ascending channel, make some money while you're being bullish, right? As far as earnings, again, the valuation, that's my only concern here. We only value the stock at $16.52. You saw, the article I brought. That's my only concern with Palantir, right? Trust me, I know there's plenty of reasons to get excited about Palantir. Growth rate and earnings, 26%. Sales growth rate, outpacing it right now. Coming in at, what is it here? 39% here. Both on the rise. Earnings per share is really starting to pick up in the last, about 3 months here. Not a whole lot of life in the beginning of this chart, but the last 3 months, earnings per share is picking up. I do like that. Palantir always delivers on earnings. I could see that kind of like an NVIDIA story, right? Bill, tomorrow. AMD reports tomorrow after the bell. Palantir is today after the bell. In case you're just tuning in, it is today after the bell. So keep that in mind, okay? As far as whiskey here, we got Sterling, STRL. Again, ascending channel. Just like we saw on Palantir, just like we saw AMD. Every time, at the bottom of the channel, this 20-day EMA, that's the buying opportunities, right? If you want to trim profits, typically somewhere up here, just, be careful. You see it continue to rise, though. But as long as it stays above that 20-day EMA, as long as it stays above the bottom trend line of this channel, I like it. I mean, it's working. Why go against something that's not working? Forecasted data, the sales growth rate just went negative, actually. -2 right now, while the growth rate in earnings sits at 25%. Growth rate in earnings has been on the rise along with the earnings per share. So there's no real warning here. The only thing I would say is just be careful because it's a building company. They do heavy construction here, and we just saw, that report, seeing some weakness in housing. So we'll just see how that plays out as well. Their leverage ETF for Katos. AMD just broke out intraday high. Nice. Here's Block. Now, this is a great turnaround story. We got value on the decline, price on the decline. But look at it now. Value's rising, price is rising. This looks like another great accumulation point, right? The 20-day EMA here. You can see, several touches on it before. So this might be a trade just now opening up, showing some potential. But as far as the forecasted data, all down. Growth rate and earnings is declining. Sales growth rate declining. Even the earnings per share declining. This is the first stock we saw of all of these stocks with a declining earnings per share over the last 6 months here. So just be careful of that. Just be careful. As far as earnings, it's a wild card. I know this company here has exposure to Bitcoin, so that that might really gets people invested depending on where they bought that Bitcoin at. But just a trading and investment perspective, I like this. This is so easy here. Value is rising, price is rising, nice accumulation point. Showing itself at the 20-day EMA. So just be careful there. I like it overall. Gilead Science is a drug company. Valuation just ticking up. Look at growth rate and earnings ticking up. EPS ticking up. This actually might give us a good surprise come that earnings call here. And again, showing a nice little pivot on the 20-day EMA. A little follow through today. I like what I see here. Oh. Here is Disney. Disney showing weakness. You see it's undervalued. Look at the valuation and price action jumping up here along with its forecasted data. 19%, sales growth rate 7%. If we go to a year here, we see sales growth rate was at 2, earnings growth rate was at 10. Both on the rise, rising earnings. This might be a good turnaround story, depending on how you feel about Disney. But overall, from a technical perspective, I'm seeing a retest from the bottom end. So be careful there. Here's Novo Nordisk over the last 6 months. Gap down. Yeah, it's got earnings. Look at that big gap down here. It's got earnings coming up. So just be careful of this position. But look at this. Value on the decline now. And price actions on the decline. I don't like that. Look at value dropping like a rock. So you might think you're getting a good deal here. But like what we saw with UNH, value just kept going down, down, and down. Gilead has a lot coming out from its oncology business. Interesting. But yeah, my warning is here. This could turn into like a UNH where we thought we were getting a good deal bottom fishing, but then we saw UNH's value just plummet right along with the stock. So that's my only 2 cents with Novo Nordisk. As far as, and look at this drop in earnings per share here. At the same time, I wonder, you'd have to look at the news on that, but that might give us some dismal guidance going into earnings this week. They might have released some information here, a little early, but it doesn't look good. Big drop in forecasted earnings per share, values dropping. Nope, I'm not holding that one through earnings. That's for sure. Here's Amgen. It's just, I'll steal Glenn's face. I'm gonna do sideways oscity. It's just going sideways oscity here. Pretty much where it was 6 months ago. Value is climbing. If you're looking for accumulation, we're right at that 20-day EMA. We're in an uptrend currently. So if you just want to make life easy, just put a trend line on it. Buy at the accumulation. If price breaks that trend line, showing the weakness, hey, worst case scenario out early. But no, I do see the trade set up there. Growth rate earnings 16%, sales growth rate 9%. But again, look at the earnings per share. It's been faltering over the last 6 months. It is lower, so that's going to be my concern. Here's Pfizer. Value popped up, but just started declining again, and so did price action, right? So the growth rate and earnings popped up, helped bringing its valuation up a little bit. So it is undervalued, but right now I'm not seeing the technicals for it. A little too bearish for me. And as far as, earnings, look at the earnings per share. It is down over the last 6 months. So again, another earnings per share that's lower than it was. Here's Caterpillar. Look at this earnings per share. Definitely dropped quite a bit. $22, $21.60. The value is on the decline. The stock's had a big run to the upside here. I can't get too excited behind Caterpillar at this time. I can't get too excited there. The stock's overvalued. Growth rate's on decline. Earnings per share is on decline. Let's go to a 1-year chart. See what we got here. If it does pull back, maybe it'll want to retest these levels here. Maybe find some kind of zone in here. Retest this. If it does gap down, could show a buying opportunity right at that 20-day EMA. But yeah, right now I don't like that forecasted data on the decline. All right, here's Fang. Nice lower left. Upper right, let's actually go to 6 months here, see if we get a better position. No, that doesn't quite work. I'm not really liking this. It's lower than it was 6 months ago. This is a petroleum company. Values on decline. Earnings per share is on decline. I'm not excited. I can't get excited about this position. That's hard to get excited about. Here's ConocoPhillips. See here, overvalued. We had a slither of a buy rating. Growth rate's flat, -6. And earnings on the decline. Nope, I'm not excited about that one either. And here's On Semiconductor. Look, On Semiconductor, look at the earnings per share declining over the last 6 months, just like we've seen in some of these other stocks. But look at this, the growth rate, sales growth rate, and earnings per share all on the decline. A -7 for earnings. Let's go to current. Yeah, -7 for the earnings growth rate. Sales growth rate here at -22. No. So this is how the VectorVest 7 system can give you some forewarning, right? A lot of problems with this type of stock, as far as forecasted data, its earnings per share, sales. So I can give us some guidance going into earnings. All right. Now let's take a look at your picks. All right. So hit the like button. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Again, we're going to do every 10 likes equals a stock. So hopefully we'll get, a couple stocks here. Give it just a moment. All right. Clay, how many likes are we at? 61. All right, we got 6 stocks here. All right, so the first stock coming across the list right now will be the ones that are mentioned. Everyone's jumping ahead of the game. All right, we got BYR. RN, HMY, KGC, Rigetti, RGTR, IESC, IES, and then ISSC. All right, there we are. We got 6 stocks here. We got Innovative Solutions, Kinross Gold, IES Holdings. We got Harmony Gold. A lot of people are asking about gold stocks right now. Interesting. We got Rigetti Computing and Byron Technologies here with a sell rating. It's the only stock with a sell rating. If we take a look, some of these stocks, big movers today. ISSC up almost 10% here. Kinross Gold up over 5%. Harmony Gold up 7%. So it looks like gold showing some momentum to the upside right now. The only stock in this list down currently, IESC Holdings. Let's go over to the right here. Let's look at the industries. Yeah, 2 out of the 6 stocks here are mining and gold. We got aerospace and defense company here, computer systems, building, and then a business services. Okay, good diverse group of list here. Sales growth rate, the only one negative. All of these actually look really good. The only bad one looks like Rigetti Computing here. If I scroll over to the left, let's look at the earnings growth rate. And again, Rigetti showing negative 7% here. Not good. As far as the earnings growth rate, looks good there. So I want to treat this more like a trade. Look at the value. We value it at $1.09. Currently trading at $15 right now. If we look at these other stocks, undervalued, ISSC. Kinross Gold, undervalued. 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 So the only 2 stocks overvalued right now is going to be Rigetti Computing, along with Byron, Berna, maybe it's Berna Technologies coming in here as well. Safety ratings, everything but the bottom 2 stocks have a good safety rating here. All of them are in an uptrend currently except Berna Technologies. So let's take a look at these stocks, see what we got here. Drag this over. All right. That's a beautiful candlestick today, bringing in a new 1-year high price action. Nice lower left, upper right. Definitely volatility here during the terrorists. But look at the value climbing with price action. I mean, value is outpacing traders right now. We value the stock currently at $19.11, coming in just at $17 for the first time this year. Earnings growth rate on the rise, sales growth rate on the rise, forecasted earnings per share. Again, that's the leading 12-month forecast. All of the data points higher. Now, if we go to 6-month chart here, here we've got, I mean, that looks beautiful. We've had a nice retest here. Buyers came in, gap up, trading at session highs. Yes, I like the stock overall. Still looks good. Here we've got Kinross Gold Corp. Finally breaking out of that consolidation zone. Nice, full, strong body candlestick. This might just be a great entry opportunity into Kinross Gold. You can see the breakout here. Use a horizontal line. You can see price action channeling through this. Pretty range bound from about $14.90 to about $16.45 here. So I do like that a lot. Look at the high coming in at $17.13 right now. Growth rate and earnings on the rise. Sales on the rise. Earnings per share continuing to tick higher. I mean, this is a great stock overall. It's in gold. I've talked about gold, showing some potential buying opportunities soon. Here's IS Holdings. This is a building company here, maintenance and service. I like this, nice lower left, upper right. Every time it retests that 20-day EMA, the bulls come right back in. My favorite chart pattern is here. We got value on the rise, undervalued, price action on the rise. Just that alone gets me excited on the stock. As far as forecasted data, it's going down, but still, even after it's faltering, 30% on the earnings side, sales 18% growth there, 12 leading or forecasted EPS on the rise over the last 6 months, and a nice jumps too. We got a nice jump here, and then another nice jump in his earnings per share. So I do like these, more positive revisions for the forecasted data. Here's Harmony Gold. Oh, I don't know what this little trend line is doing. Is it just retesting it from the bottom? Is that what Harmony Gold? Yep, looks exactly what it's doing here, retesting it. So I'm not going to get real confirmation until price actually gets above this trend line here. Otherwise, look at the stock. It's greatly undervalued. We value $26. Fresh buy rating today. Now is the moving average is now in our favor here. Growth rate and earnings on the rise. Sales growth rate flat. Still 27% though. You can't get mad at those kind of numbers. And as Palantir getting close to its 52-week high. IESC is a data center AI play. Good to know. I think, see here. But yeah, still looks good. I do like the growth rate earnings, a little pop there, but 29, 30%. But just from looking at the chart here, just be careful if this is just another retest and short-lived. So if you see some rejection here, act accordingly. Here is Rigetti. You can see it's still in my little channel here. Looks like it retested that. That 20-day EMA looks like a good buying opportunity. It looks like we're bouncing off of that right now. I'd want to get closer to the upper wick. I want to get back into session highs. I don't want a big upper wick at the end of today. Definitely don't want to do that. But overall, still looks good. If you want to, really get some confirmation, it's going to be about $2 away, around $17.42. Take out this prior swing high here. But overall, from an early entry point, still looks good. Still above that 20-day EMA. And again, this is just overvalued. That's my big concern here. I know quantum, there's big things, but who knows what the timetable will be of those things getting achieved. But investors are paying a premium right now, 109. So again, just be careful and make sure you're on the right side of that premium. If you are a holder of Rigetti, I'd put a trend line right here. If we break this trend line, I'd get a little bit more aggressive, as far as getting defensive on it. But as of right now, you're still looking good to the upside. All right, here's the last stock. This is interesting. I've never heard of this stock before. It's called Burna Technologies. Trading at a premium. Not the worst thing. I see, it could definitely be a good swing trading stock here. Just the volatility that I'm seeing right now. Let's go out a little bit further. See what this has been doing. So value relatively flat. The stock, trading at a premium. But look at the valuation now. Value comes in at $14.63. I like that. Stock trading at $21.78. So even though it's trading at a premium, valuation trying to keep up here. Look at the growth rate and earnings. 46% sitting at currently. Sales growth rate also on the rise, ending at 41%. Earnings per share, the forecasted data here. And not a bad stock. And as far as the technicals, because it's pulling back right now. Let's see here. Let's put it. Curious where this is. This is the zone I'm looking at for support here. Because right now you're catching a falling knife. So be careful if you've already jumped into this. But this is the zone I would look at, around 2165 to about 1928 I have here. If it breaks much below this one, definitely get more defensive. But as of right now, I do see the lower high. But yeah, I'd want to see a little bit more of a pivot. Those moving averages not quite moving in the favor we want them to. That's for sure. All right, let's go back to the homepage, just see where the market's at for right now. Still good stocks. There's a lot of momentum with these positions. Look at the BSR ticking back up. We got a green light here in the BSR. The overall health of the market, wasn't expecting that today, right? Coming in at 1.01. Now that could definitely get some optimism for the bulls going. But overall, we still got 2 yellow lights in the price action of the VectorVest composite and in RT. And just real quick before we go, because we did look at some gold stocks. I'm just curious if they're on the move right now. mining gold and silver. Let's extend it. There it is. So it did hit that trend line. So that was the buying opportunity. A lot of consolidation. I'm going to be pretty bullish on gold right now. I do like what I see here when it comes with gold right on this trend line. I've been talking about that over the last few weeks as price action was, coming back closer and closer to this trend line. Looks like that might have been a great, place to do some, buying the dip on gold. So as long as price action remains above this trend line here, I would be a believer in, buying on any kind of dip in gold, but we're still seeing that bullish momentum continue. The only weakness I see here, let's actually change this to star search. Let's see if, okay, we're getting close. So if you're looking for the confirmation here, looks like the upper Bollinger Band is around 756. We're currently around 754. So we're pretty close for even gold becoming potentially a momentum play right now. So that's interesting. How are you and Glenn's portfolios doing? Actually, Fox, now that you mention it, we might have to go look at that because he had a different login for his live streams. So we haven't really been messing with those. Or I haven't messed with them at all. That's interesting. Yeah, Fox, I'm going to have to take a look and see if we can get into those portfolios. Maybe we can replicate them. I don't know. We'll see what Glenn is doing. He's not really here to make adjustments to it, but at least maybe we could see what my portfolio is doing. We'll take a look at both of them. But yeah, good idea, Fox. So maybe on the next live stream, well, we could take a look at some of Glenn's portfolios because he had quite a few portfolios on these live streams, and maybe that's something I can do going forward. Actually, now that you're talking about, which are the go-to gold stocks, I would just right-click and just see view stocks and industry and see what the best gold stocks are. But you guys know the usual pick. I mean, Orla's got some bad news. I think it had the collapse in one of its mines. But you see Harmony definitely showing some upside momentum there. So it looks like the usual suspects probably going to do just as good, but maybe just keep Orla on your mind. Kinross Gold is another one here. Smack this. How is Glenn himself doing? Any return date yet? No return date yet for Glenn. Smack this. Oh, and just to put this out there, in case you missed it somehow, we've been doing this a lot. But we did team up with his family. Started a GoFundMe account. It was actually on the stream 2 weeks ago. We were talking about this. I know there's been a lot of people asking on ways to help. It's just go to VectorVest.com/Glenn, GLENN. So it's just VectorVest.com/Glenn. But yeah, as far as any kind of coming back date or anything like that, I have not been notified anything like that. But as soon as we know something, trust me, we'll find out. Just keep them in your prayers going forward. Ryan, it looks like the indices have just closed the gap. Should we wait? What do you think? Yeah, I've been that's hard, right? We just closed the gap. So if you are going to play to the downside, maybe tiptoeing into it, just depends how bearish you feel. The DEW down is what's got me nervous right now. But then look, the homepage, we got a green light in the BSR, right? Interesting. So, if you are going to open up bearish positions, I do like the idea of the gap fill. I'd be a little bit more optimistic if I didn't see this green light here appear in the BSR column this afternoon. So if, since we did fill the gap, if we are getting closer to session highs and you feel like that's, the play, the gap fill, on the bearish side of things, maybe just do a smaller position, tiptoe into it, right? Get the confirmation maybe tomorrow or the following day, because it's hard to feel all warm and fuzzy about, hedging my portfolio when all the major indices are up above 1% and I got a green light in the BSR column, right? So again, just, it's hard to be bearish right now. It's definitely hard to be bearish right now. I'd be a little bit more optimistic. But again, the DEW did just go down. So as far as opening new positions right now, I'm not going to be a fan of opening new positions, right? More worried concerned about protecting the ones I got right now. Now, if you open up positions playing earnings, I mean, that's going to be a crapshoot either way. You know, we already know that. The DEW down, probably not going to give you the best insight on, you know, how investors are going to respond. You know, things like forward guidance, tariffs, especially if you're holding semiconductors, the news on China. See how that's going to happen here. Janice says Glenn's wife, Janet, posted an update on the GoFundMe site 2 days ago that he has a discharge date for home August 14th. Okay, I did not know that. Okay, so apparently there was an update by his wife. There is a discharge date of August 14th. So I don't know when that means. I just found out about that, apparently. So I don't know what that means when he's coming back to work. Obviously, I'll reach out to his wife and maybe himself, just depending on how he's feeling this week. And see if I can get some updates for you. But that is, thank you, Janice, for letting us know that. That is awesome. Everybody put some ones in the comment section for Glenn. That's some of the best news I could have gotten today, is that he's got his discharge pay. And August 14th, that's right around the corner, too. So hopefully, he'll get some continued rest. And, hopefully before long, he'll be back in the saddle, giving you guys some winning trades. All right, everybody, enjoy your afternoon as the market charges higher. Again, I wouldn't get too bearish right now, especially with that BSR. It just ticked up again, 1.02. Everybody, enjoy your afternoon, and I will see you Wednesday. Take care.